Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Terra's Pride, watching the stars move past the window. The ship was heading toward a new star system called Kepler 442. Jake had been a space captain for 15 years, but he still loved seeing new places among the stars. "Captain, we're getting a message," said Lieutenant Ben Cooper from his station. "It's from the Galactic Council." "They sound worried." Jake walked over to the main screen. The Galactic Council was made up of 12 different alien races. They had been running this part of space for over 3,000 years. If they were worried, it meant trouble. The screen lit up with the face of Ambassador Zethkara. She looked like a tall woman made of green crystal. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Human vessel Terra's Pride, you must turn around now. Do not enter the Kepler 442 system. There is great danger there." Jake looked at his crew. Dr. Helen Wright, the ship's scientist, raised her eyebrows. Commander Lisa Park, who studied alien life, leaned forward in her chair. Chief Engineer Danny Rodriguez stopped working on his tablet to listen. "What kind of danger?" Jake asked. Zet Chikara's crystal face showed fear. "The Void Stalker." "It is." Awake. The crew looked at each other. They had never heard of a Void Stalker before. "The Void Stalker is the most dangerous creature in the galaxy," Zethkara continued. "It cannot be seen. It cannot be tracked. It moves faster than light itself. Entire worlds have died because of just one of these beasts." Lisa Park spoke up. "How does it hunt? What does it eat?" "We do not know," Zethkara replied. "No one has ever survived long enough to study it. The creature has been sleeping in that system for 100 years, but the mining ships woke it up 3 days ago." Jake felt his crew tense up around him. Mining ships meant people were in danger. "How many ships are in the system?" he asked. "There were 12 mining vessels and 3 patrol ships," Zethkara said. "Now there are none. They all disappeared. No explosions, no debris. Just ... gone." Dr. Wright stepped forward. "You say it can't be tracked, but something that big must. Leave some kind of trace." "Nothing," Zethkara said. "Our best sensors find nothing. Our greatest hunters see nothing. The creature is like a ghost made of death." Jake thought about this. In his 15 years as a captain, he had learned that there was always more to the story. "What aren't you telling us?" Zethkara hesitated. "There is a research station on the 3rd planet. 200 scientists are trapped there. We cannot reach them. The Void Stalker guards the system like a hungry wolf." "What kind of scientists?" Lisa asked. "Archaeologists. They were studying ruins from an ancient race. Very important work." Jake made his decision. "We'll help them." "No." Zethkara's voice was sharp. "You do not understand. This creature has killed millions. Whole civilizations have fallen to the Void Stalker. Your small ship cannot fight what our greatest fleets could not defeat." "Maybe," Jake said. "But we can't just leave 200 people to die." Ben Cooper spoke from his station. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures in the asteroid belt. Something big is moving out there." Jake looked at the sensor displays. Strange readings were popping up and disappearing. It was like watching ghosts on the screen. "The beast knows you are here," Zethkara said. "It can sense living things from very far away. You must leave now, before it finds you." Suddenly, the ship's alarms went off. Ben Cooper's face went white. "Captain, 3 ships just appeared on sensors. They're Galactic Council patrol vessels." "Thank the stars," Zethkara said. "They can escort you to safety." But as they watched, the 3 ships on the screen simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next moment they were gone. No explosion, no debris, just empty space. "What happened to them?" Danny asked. "The Void Stalker," Zethkara whispered. "It found them." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever was out there had just destroyed 3 military ships in seconds. But he also felt something else, curiosity. How did something that big hide so well? How did it move without being seen? "Captain," Dr. Wright said quietly, "the energy readings are getting stronger. Something is coming toward us." Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were also ready. That was the thing about humans. They didn't back down from a fight. "Zethkara," he said, "we're going to help those scientists. But we need to know everything you can tell us about this creature." "You are making a terrible mistake," the alien ambassador said. "The Void Stalker has never been defeated. It has never even been hurt. It is death itself." "Maybe," Jake said. "But we've never met anything we couldn't handle." The transmission ended. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. "Ben, take us into the system, but keep our shields up and weapons ready." "Yes, sir," Ben said. "Helen, I want you to study every sensor reading we get. Find out how this thing moves." "Already on it, Captain," Dr. Wright replied. "Lisa, research everything the Council has about this creature. There has to be something they're not telling us." "I'll dig through their databases," Lisa said. Jake sat down in his captain's chair. Outside the window, the stars looked the same as always. But somewhere out there, something was waiting for them. Something that had scared the entire galaxy. For thousands of years, the Terra's pride flew deeper into the system, toward whatever was waiting for them in the dark. The Terra's pride moved slowly through the outer edge of the Kepler 442 system. Jake Morrison watched the sensor displays with growing concern. Something was wrong, but he couldn't figure out what. "Captain," Danny Rodriguez called from his engineering station, "the sensors are acting strange. Every few minutes, they pick up something big, then it disappears." Dr. Helen Wright looked up from her science station. "It's like space itself is bending around us. I've never seen readings like this." Jake walked over to look at her screens. The numbers kept changing in ways that made no sense. "What do you think it means?" "I think we're being watched," Helen said. "Something is out there, moving around us. But it's not moving through normal space." Commander Lisa Park found something in the Council's database. "Captain, I found more information about the Void Stalker. According to these old reports, it doesn't just move through space. It moves through different dimensions." "Different dimensions?" Jake asked. "Think of it like this," Helen explained. "We move in 3 dimensions, up, down, and sideways. But this creature can step outside those dimensions and appear anywhere it wants." Ben Cooper spoke up from his weapons station. "That's why no one can track it. It's not really in our space most of the time. But it has to come into our space to attack," Lisa said. "That's when it becomes solid and real." Jake nodded. "So we just need to figure out when it's going to do that." Suddenly, the ship shook. Not like an explosion, but like something huge had just moved past them very fast. "What was that?" Jake asked. "Unknown," Ben said. "Sensors show nothing, but something definitely just went by us." Dr. Wright was studying her readings. "Wait, I see something. Very small gravitational waves. They happen right before the ship shakes." "Gravitational waves?" Jake asked. "When something very heavy moves through space, it creates tiny ripples in gravity. Our sensors can barely detect them, but they're there." Another shake. This time, the lights flickered. "It's getting closer," Danny said. "Whatever it is, it's circling us." Jake made a decision. All hands, battle stations. Shields up, weapons ready. The crew moved quickly to their positions. The ship's defense systems came online. But Jake wondered how they could fight something they couldn't see. The attack came without warning. One moment, space outside the ship was empty. The next moment, something enormous appeared right above them. It was like looking at a nightmare made real. The creature was huge, almost 2 kilometers long. It looked like a giant jellyfish, but wrong. Its body was made of dark energy that hurt to look at. Hundreds of tentacles reached out from its center, moving through the air like they were swimming. "What is that thing?" Ben gasped. "The Void Stalker," Jake said. "Fire everything we have." Ben pressed the firing controls. Energy blasts shot out from the ship's weapons, but the beams passed right through the creature like it wasn't there. "It's not solid," Helen shouted. "It's phasing in and out of our dimension." The creature's mouth opened. Instead of teeth, there was a swirling black hole that began pulling pieces of the ship's hull into it. "Hull breach on Deck 5, Danny reported. "It's eating the ship." A tentacle reached down and passed through the ship's armor like it was made of air. But when it got inside the engine room, it became solid. The tentacle wrapped around the main power core and began to squeeze. "Engine power dropping," Danny yelled. "If it destroys the core, we're dead." Alarms rang throughout the ship. The lights dimmed as power failed. Jake felt helpless. How could they fight something that could choose when to be solid? Then something strange happened. The creature suddenly stopped attacking. It pulled its tentacle out of the engine room and moved away from the ship. What just happened? Jake asked. Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's doctor, spoke up from her station. "Captain, the emergency food storage just broke open. Supplies are floating out into space." Jake looked at the sensor display. The Void Stalker was moving away from them. But it hadn't left. Instead, it was circling the ship at a safe distance. "It's not attacking anymore," Ben said. "Why?" Dr. Wright was studying the creature's movements. "It's acting differently. Look at the way it's moving. It's not hunting anymore. It's curious." Lisa Park checked her readings. The creature stopped attacking right when the food storage opened. Could it be interested in our food? Food? Jake asked. "A cosmic monster wants our lunch?" Amy Foster ran a quick scan. The emergency supplies that leaked out include bacon, beef jerky, and protein bars. All Earth foods. The creature moved closer to the floating food supplies. Its tentacles reached out and touched the packages. For a moment, it became solid again. "It's sampling the food," Helen said. "But why would it care about human food?" Lisa had an idea. What if it's not just a hunter? What if it's curious about us because we're different? Different how? Jake asked. "Think about it," Lisa said. "Every other species in the galaxy is afraid of this thing, but we're not running away. We're studying it." Amy Foster made a discovery. "Captain, I got a quick scan when the creature was solid. Its biology is unlike anything I've seen. It feeds on psychic energy." "Psychic energy?" Jake asked. "Thoughts and emotions," Amy explained. "Specifically fear. It gets stronger when its prey is afraid." Jake understood. "So it's been feeding on the fear of other species for thousands of years." "But humans are different," Helen said. "When we see something dangerous, we don't just get scared. We get curious. We want to understand it." The creature was still circling them, but its movements had changed. It wasn't hunting anymore. It was watching. It's never encountered a species. "Like us," Lisa said. "We're not giving it the fear it expects." Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were also fascinated. Instead of running away, they were trying to solve the puzzle of the Void Stalker. "Amy, what else did you learn from your scan?" "The creature has to become solid to feed," Amy said. "When it's solid, it can be hurt. The problem is predicting when it will do that." "And we just learned it's interested in our food," Jake said. "Danny, are the engines working?" "We've got basic power," Danny replied. "But the main drive is damaged. Ben, how are the weapons?" "Still functional, but they're useless if the target can phase out of reality." Jake made a decision. "We're going to set a trap." "A trap?" Helen asked. The creature is curious about us and our food. We're going to use that curiosity to bring it close enough to fight. That's crazy, Ben said. What if it decides to eat us instead of our food? Jake smiled. Then we'll have to be more interesting than lunch. The Void Stalker continued to circle. Their ship. It was learning about them just as they were learning about it. But Jake had a feeling that this cosmic predator was about to discover something important about humans. They didn't give up. They didn't run away. And they definitely didn't make easy prey. The Terra's Pride drifted in space with half power while the crew studied their enemy. The Void Stalker was still out there, circling them like a shark around a life raft. I've been watching its movement pattern, said Navigation Officer Kate. Johnson, it's not random. The creature follows a specific path based on something. Jake Morrison moved to her station. What kind of path? Kate pointed to her screen. Every time it changes direction, it's following the trail of those food packages that leaked out. It's like a bloodhound following a scent. Dr. Amy Foster had been working on her analysis of the creature. Captain, I've figured out more about how it feeds. The Void Stalker doesn't just eat fear. It feeds on the psychic energy that fear creates. Explain that, Jake said. When living things get scared, their brains produce specific energy patterns. The creature absorbs that energy to survive. It's been doing this for thousands of years. Doctor. Helen Wright looked up from her instruments. That explains why it's so confused by us. We're not producing the right kind of energy. What kind of energy are we producing? Jake asked. Helen smiled. Curiosity, excitement, and believe it or not, hunger. Hunger? Jake asked. Chief Engineer Danny Rodriguez laughed. Captain, half. The crew is wondering what that thing tastes like. Pedro Santos has been asking if we can catch it. Pedro Santos was the ship's cook. He was known for being able to make a good meal out of almost anything. Jake had never thought about what alien monsters might taste like. The creature has never encountered a species like us, Amy said. Every other race runs away or dies from fear. But we're actually getting excited about fighting it. Security Chief Rick Barnes spoke up. Captain, I've been thinking about our weapons problem. We can't hit it when it's phased out, but we can hit it when it's solid. The problem is knowing when it will become solid, Jake said. That's where Santos comes in, Rick said. The creature is attracted to our food. What if we make it so hungry that it has to become solid to feed? Jake understood the plan. We bait it with food and hit it when it tries to eat. Exactly, Rick said. But we'll need a lot of food to make it work. Jake called Pedro Santos to the bridge. Santos was a short, cheerful man who loved cooking more than anything else in the universe. Pedro, we need your help, Jake said. Can you make enough food to attract that creature? Santos looked out the window at the Void Stalker. Captain, that's the biggest thing I've ever seen. Are you planning to feed it or fight it? Both, Jake, said. Santos grinned. I can make enough food to feed an army, but I'll need to use the main kitchen and all the food replicators. Do it, Jake said. Make the most delicious meal you've ever cooked. While Santos worked, Helen Wright modified their weapons. If we can disrupt the creature's ability to phase out, we can keep it solid long enough to hurt it. How do we do that? Jake asked. Gravitational fields, Helen said. The creature uses dimensional folding to phase in and out of reality. But strong gravity can lock it in place. Ben Cooper helped her work on the weapons. We can modify the ship's tractor beam to create a gravity field. It won't be pretty, but it might work. Danny Rodriguez was fixing the ship's power systems. If we're going to fight that thing, we'll need full power. I can give you 10 minutes of maximum power, but after that, we're running on backup. That should be enough, Jake said, Kate Johnson found something interesting in the ship's database. Captain, I found records of the research station that's trapped on the planet. They've been studying the ruins of an ancient civilization. What kind of civilization? Jake asked. According to their reports, it was a species that hunted the Void Stalkers. They called them star hunters and considered them good eating. Jake stared at her. They ate these things? According to the ruins, yes. The ancient species was wiped out by a cosmic disaster, but their records show they regularly hunted creatures like this one. Amy Foster was excited. That proves the creature can be killed and eaten. We just need to figure out how. An alarm sounded. The Void Stalker was moving toward the planet where the research station was located. It's going after the scientists, Ben said. On the main screen, they could see the creature approaching the planet's surface. It became solid as it prepared to feed on the fear of the trapped researchers. We have to help them, Jake said. Captain, the trap isn't ready, Santos called from the kitchen. I need more time. Jake made a decision. We go now. We'll finish the trap while we're fighting. The Terra's Pride flew toward the planet at full speed. The Void Stalker sensed them coming and turned away from the research station. It knows we're here, Helen said. It's coming back to investigate us. Perfect, Jake said. Pedro, how's that food coming? Almost ready, Captain. But you're not going to believe what I'm cooking. The smell hit the bridge first. It was amazing. Like bacon and steak and fresh bread all mixed together. But there was something else, something that made Jake's mouth water. What is that smell? Amy asked. I mixed earth spices with some of the emergency protein supplies, Santos said. But I also added something special. What? Jake asked. Remember, those food packages that leaked out? The ones the creature was interested in? I analyzed them and found that they contained compounds that don't exist anywhere else in the galaxy. Compounds from Earth? Helen asked. Exactly. The creature has. Never smelled anything like Earth food. It's like showing candy to someone who's never tasted sugar. The Void Stalker was getting closer. Its movements were different now, more focused, more hungry. It's working, Kate said. The creature is coming straight for us. Jake looked at his crew. They were ready to fight the most dangerous predator in the galaxy. But they weren't acting like they were about to face certain death. They were acting like they were about to sit down for dinner. All hands, prepare for battle, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. We're about to show this cosmic monster what happens when it threatens humans. The Void Stalker approached the ship. As it got closer, the wonderful smell of Pedro's cooking filled the space around them. The creature's tentacles reached out, tasting the air. It's getting excited, Amy said. I can read its psychic energy. It's never felt hunger like this before. Good, Jake said. Rick, are you ready? Weapons are charged and ready, Captain. Helen, is the gravity trap set? Ready to activate on your command. Pedro, I hope you made enough for everyone. Santos laughed. Captain, I made enough to feed that monster and have leftovers. The Void Stalker was almost close enough to touch the ship. Its massive form began to solidify as it prepared to feed. Now, Jake shouted that the battle for dinner was about to begin. The Void Stalker materialized inside the Terra's Pride cargo bay exactly as Jake Morrison had planned. The creature's massive form filled the space, its tentacles reaching out toward the source of the incredible smell coming from the ship's kitchen. Gravity. Trap now. Jake shouted. Dr. Helen Wright activated the modified tractor beam. Invisible gravitational fields wrapped around the creature like chains, holding it in normal space. The Void Stalker tried to phase out of reality, but the gravity fields kept it solid and trapped. It's working. Helen called out. The creature is locked in our dimension. The Void Stalker screamed. The sound was like nothing Jake had ever heard. A mix of rage, confusion, and for the first time in the creature's long life, fear. "Fire everything," ordered Security Chief Rick Barnes. Ben Cooper opened fire with every weapon the ship had. Energy blasts, kinetic rounds, and plasma bolts hit the creature from all sides. But instead of the usual fear-based response the monster expected, the human crew was cheering. "Take that, you cosmic calamari," Danny Rodriguez shouted as he fired a plasma cutter. The creature's tentacles lashed out, trying to grab the humans. But Rick Barnes didn't run away. Instead, he charged forward with a modified welding torch, whooping like he was at a rodeo. "Come on, you overgrown squid. Let's dance." Rick yelled. The Void Stalker had never experienced anything like this. For thousands of years, it had fed on the terror of its prey. Fear made it stronger. Panic made it faster. But these humans weren't afraid. They were excited. Dr. Amy Foster ran forward with a medical bone saw, her scientific mind racing. "I need samples of this creature's biology," she called out. "Hold it steady." Jake watched in amazement as his crew attacked the galaxy's most feared predator like they were preparing for a barbecue. The creature's psychic feeding abilities were working in reverse. Instead of absorbing fear, it was being overwhelmed by human emotions it couldn't understand. Pedro Santos appeared from the kitchen, carrying a massive cleaver. "Captain, this thing is going to make the best steaks in the galaxy." "Pedro, what are you doing?" Jake asked. "Getting dinner ready," Santos replied. He dodged a tentacle and started carving pieces off the creature's hide. "This meat is going to be incredible." The Void Stalker thrashed in confusion. Its tentacles wrapped around equipment and walls, trying to escape. But the gravity fields held it in place, and the humans kept attacking. "Its biology is incredible," Amy shouted as she took samples. The creature's cells exist in multiple dimensions at once. No wonder it can phase in and out of reality. Helen Wright was scanning the creature with every instrument they had. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy stores inside its body. When it dies, there's going to be a lot of power released." "Dangerous?" Jake asked. "Not dangerous. Useful. This creature has been collecting psychic energy for millennia. All that power is stored in its body." The Void Stalker's screams were getting weaker. The combination of weapons fire, gravity fields, and the complete psychological reversal of its feeding process was killing it. "Look at the size of this thing," Rick Barnes called out. "We're going to eat like kings." Danny Rodriguez had attached steel cables to the creature's tentacles and connected them to the ship's power systems. "If we can tap into its energy storage, we'll have enough power to run the ship for years." The creature made one last desperate attempt to escape. It gathered all its remaining strength and tried to phase out of reality. For a moment, Jake thought it might succeed, but Pedro Santos had other plans. "Oh no, you don't," he shouted. "I've been planning this meal for an hour." He activated the ship's industrial food processors and began feeding parts of the creature into them. The Void Stalker's final scream echoed across multiple dimensions as it realized what was happening. It wasn't just being killed. It was being prepared for dinner. The creature's body began to change as it died. The dark energy that had made it so terrifying slowly transformed into something that looked like a cross between giant squid and premium beef. The tentacles became firm and meaty, while the main body took on the appearance of the finest steak Jake had ever seen. "Incredible," Amy said, running her medical scanner over the dead creature. As it died, its interdimensional properties stabilized. The meat is not only safe to eat, but it's incredibly nutritious. "How nutritious?" Jake asked. This creature absorbed psychic energy from millions of beings over thousands of years. Eating it would give someone temporary psychic abilities and enhanced dimensional awareness. Santos was already cutting steaks from the creature's body. Captain, this is the find of the century. We've got enough meat here to feed a small army, and it's all prime cuts. Jake looked around the cargo bay. His crew was covered in alien blood and strange fluids, but they were all smiling. They had just defeated the most dangerous predator in the galaxy, and now they were planning to eat it. Captain, Tate Johnson called from the bridge. We are getting a transmission from the research station. They want to know if we're okay. Tell them we're fine, Jake replied, and ask them if they want to join us for dinner. Rick Barnes was supervising the cleanup. We'll need to preserve most of this meat. There's enough here to supply the entire human fleet. Helen Wright was still taking readings. The creature's energy signature is stabilizing. We can use its STORED power to enhance our ship systems. What kind of enhancements? Jake asked. Faster than light travel, improved shields, better weapons. This creature's death is going to make human ships the most advanced in the galaxy. Danny Rodriguez was connecting the power systems. Captain, we're getting readings I've never seen before. This energy could power a small city. Amy Foster had finished her analysis. I need to run more tests, but I think eating this creature's meat might give humans abilities that other species don't have. What kind of abilities? Jake asked. Enhanced intuition, limited telepathy, maybe even the ability to sense dimensional shifts like the creature could. Santos was seasoning the first batch of steaks. Captain, dinner will be ready in 30 minutes. I suggest we invite the research station staff. They've been through a lot, and they deserve a good meal. Jake looked at the tons of meat filling. The cargo bay. The most feared predator in the galaxy had become their dinner. It was the most human thing he could imagine. Send a message to Earth, he told Kate. Tell them we've solved the Void Stalker problem. And tell them to prepare the biggest barbecue in human history. The crew cheered. They had hunted the hunter, and now they were going to eat well. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the battle, the Terra's Pride docked at Kepler Station, the biggest trading post in this part of the galaxy. Word about their fight with the Void Stalker had spread to every corner of known space. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the station's main deck, watching as aliens from dozens of different species gathered around. They all wanted to see the impossible, a dead creature that was supposed to be unkillable. Captain Morrison called a familiar voice. Ambassador Zethkara approached with a group of other alien diplomats. Her crystal face showed amazement instead of fear for the first time since Jake had met her. Ambassador, Jake said with a smile. Perfect timing. We're just about to start cooking. Zethkara looked confused. Cooking? Jake pointed to the massive outdoor cooking area that Pedro Santos had set up on the station's promenade. Grills, smokers, and food preparation stations covered the entire space. The smell of cooking meat filled the air. You single quotes re ... Cooking the Void Stalker? Asked Ambassador Veltar, a tall bird-like creature from the Helix Confederation. Of course, Jake said. Waste not, want not. That's what we say on Earth. Santos appeared from behind a huge grill, wearing his chef's hat and carrying a plate of perfectly cooked steaks. Ambassador, you have to try this. It's the most tender meat I've ever worked with. The alien diplomats stared at the cooked meat like it might bite them. For thousands of years, the Void Stalker had been the thing that haunted their nightmares. Now humans were serving it as lunch. It's safe to eat? Asked Dr. Cathalana, a green-skinned scientist from the Vegan Republic. Dr. Amy Foster nodded. I've run every test I can think of. The meat is not only safe, but incredibly nutritious. It contains proteins and minerals that don't exist anywhere else in the galaxy. Chief Engineer Danny Rodriguez had set up a special grill that could handle the creature's unique dimensional properties. The tricky part is cooking it evenly. The meat exists in multiple dimensions, so regular heat doesn't work properly. Dr. Helen Wright was explaining the science to a group of fascinated alien researchers. When the creature died, its interdimensional properties stabilized. But the meat retains some of those properties, which is why it has such unusual nutritional value. Jake watched as more and more aliens arrived at the station. Ships from every major species were docking, their crews eager to see the humans who had defeated the galaxy's greatest fear. "Captain," said Commander Lisa Park, "we're getting requests from 12 different news networks. They want to interview the crew." "Tell them they can interview us while we eat," Jake said. "But they have to try the food first." Ambassador Zethkara approached Jake nervously. "Captain Morrison, I must ask, how did you defeat the Void Stalker? Our greatest warriors have tried for centuries." Jake looked at his crew. They were all working together to prepare the meal, cooking, seasoning, and serving food to hundreds of alien visitors. It looked like they were having the time of their lives. "We didn't defeat it," Jake said. "We just treated it like any other problem. We studied it, we planned, and we solved it." "But you showed no fear," Zethkara said. "The creature feeds on fear. How did you resist?" Security Chief Rick Barnes overheard the conversation. "Fear? Why would we be afraid of food?" The ambassador looked confused. "Food? That's all it was," Rick said. "A big, dangerous animal that needed to be hunted and cooked properly. My grandfather used to hunt deer back on Earth. This wasn't much different, just bigger." Santos appeared with a tray of samples. "Ambassador, please try this. I've been working on the perfect seasoning for 3 days." Zethkara looked at the cooked meat uncertainly. "What does it taste like?" "Like the best steak you've ever had, but with a hint of something cosmic," Santos said. "It's hard to describe." The ambassador took a small bite. Her crystal face showed surprise, then pleasure. "It's delicious and nutritious," Amy added. "Early tests show that eating the creature's meat provides temporary psychic abilities and enhanced dimensional awareness." News of this spread quickly through the crowd. Alien scientists and diplomats began requesting samples for their own research. The station's medical facilities were soon filled with researchers studying the effects of Void Stalker meat. Dr. Kethalana approached Jake with test results. "Captain, this is remarkable. The meat contains compounds that boost brain function and improve reflexes. It's like a superfood for the mind." "Even better," Helen said. "The creature's stored energy can be used to enhance ship systems. We're talking about faster-than-light travel, improved shields, and weapons that can affect multiple dimensions." Jake watched as aliens from across the galaxy lined up to try human cooking. Species that had been enemies for centuries were sharing meals and talking peacefully. The fear that had controlled the galaxy for so long was being replaced by curiosity and appetite. "Captain Morrison," said General Thaxok, a massive warrior from the Krell Empire. "My people have been soldiers for 10,000 years. We have fought every enemy in the galaxy, but we never thought to eat them." "Food brings people together," Santos said, serving the general a plate of barbecued Void Stalker ribs. "It's one of the most important things humans do." The general took a bite, and his eyes widened. "This is incredible. I can feel my mind becoming sharper." "That's the psychic enhancement," Amy explained. "The creature stored thousands of years of mental energy. When you eat its meat, you gain some of that power temporarily." Word was spreading throughout the galaxy. The human approach to the Void Stalker was becoming legendary. Instead of hiding from cosmic horrors, humans would simply find a way to turn them into lunch. Ambassador Zethkara approached Jake with an official-looking document. "Captain Morrison, the Galactic Council has discussed your actions. We would like to offer humanity a position on our peacekeeping forces." "As soldiers?" Jake asked. "No," Zethkara said. As specialists in dealing with creatures that other species consider untouchable, you would be our how do you say? Pest control experts. Rick Barnes laughed. Pest control? I like that. We're exterminators for cosmic monsters. The pay would be excellent, Zethkara continued. And you would have access to the best equipment in the galaxy. Jake looked at his crew. They were all listening now, interested in what the council was offering. What would we be hunting? Lisa asked. There are many creatures like the Void Stalker. Zethkara explained. Things that have terrorized civilizations for millennia. The Star Devourer in the Andromeda Sector. The Dream Eaters of the Veil Nebula. The Time Hunters of the Quantum Void. Santos was getting excited. Captain, think of all the new recipes we could develop. And the scientific discoveries, Helen added. Each creature would teach us something new about the universe. Jake made his decision. We accept. But we have some conditions. What conditions? Zethkara asked. First, Santos gets to keep all the recipes. Second, every human ship gets upgraded cooking facilities. And third, we cater the victory celebrations. The ambassador looked confused. Cater? We provide the food. For the party after we win, Jake explained. It's a human tradition. Agreed, Zethkara said quickly. The crowd cheered as the deal was announced. Humans were officially becoming the galaxy's monster hunters, with full dining privileges. As the celebration continued, Jake received a priority message from Earth. Admiral Patricia Hayes, head of the Human Space Command, appeared on his personal communicator. Captain Morrison, she said, congratulations on your success. But I have to ask, did you really turn the galaxy's most feared predator into a barbecue? Yes, ma'am, Jake replied, and it was delicious. Admiral Hayes smiled. The Council has already sent us specifications for 12 other cosmic monsters they want hunted. They're offering us exclusive contracts for the entire Outer Rim. What kind of monsters? Jake asked. Things with names like the Entropy Beast and the Void Whale. Apparently, there's a whole ecosystem of interdimensional predators that nobody has been able to deal with. Jake looked around at his crew. They were all busy cooking, serving food, and making friends with alien species. They looked happy. Admiral, send us the coordinates for the nearest monster. We'll head out as soon as we finish this barbecue. Understood, Captain? And Morrison? Yes, Mom. Save me some of that Void Stalker. I want to try it when you get back to Earth, Jake laughed. Will do, Admiral. The transmission ended. Jake walked over to where Santos was serving the last of the Void Stalker steaks to a line of alien diplomats. Pedro, how much meat do we have left? Enough for about 50 more meals, Santos replied. Why? Because we're going hunting again. The Council has a whole list of monsters they want us to deal with. Santos grinned. Captain, this is the best job in the galaxy. We get to explore space, meet new species, fight cosmic monsters, and cook incredible meals. What more could we want? Dr. Wright approached with a datapad. Captain, I've been analyzing the requests from the Council. According to their descriptions, the next creature we're hunting is called the Star Devourer. It's apparently the size of a small moon and eats entire solar systems. Sounds like we'll need a bigger grill, Santos said thoughtfully. Jake looked around the station at all the aliens enjoying human cooking. Fear had ruled the galaxy for